Maya Patel was having one of those days where everything that could go wrong actually did go wrong. She glanced at her watch for the 10th time in 5 minutes and felt her stomach drop. Her flight to Chicago was boarding in 40 minutes and she was still stuck in traffic on the way to the airport. The Friday afternoon sun beat down on her car as she drummed her fingers on the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed with another text from her younger sister, Priya. "Did you remember the ring?" it said, followed by 3 anxious emojis. The ring. Of course she remembered the ring. It was sitting in a small velvet box in the top drawer of her desk at work. The same desk she had left 20 minutes ago. The same desk that was now a 30-minute drive in the opposite direction from the airport. Maya let out a groan that probably startled the driver in the next lane. This was supposed to be a simple weekend trip. Fly to Chicago, attend her sister's engagement party, smile for photos, eat too much food, and fly back. Sunday evening. Easy. Except nothing about this day was turning out easy. She had been so focused on finishing a presentation for work that she completely forgot to grab the ring before leaving the office. And not just any ring. This was their grandmother's ring, the one that had been passed down through 3 generations. The one her mother had specifically entrusted to Maya because, as the older sister, she was supposed to be the responsible one. Traffic finally started moving. Maya made a split-second decision that would have made her driving instructor very disappointed. She cut across 2 lanes and took the exit that would lead her back to her office building. Her phone rang. It was her mother. "Hi, Mom," Maya said, trying to sound calm and not like someone who was currently breaking several traffic laws. "Beta, are you at the airport? Your father wants to know if you want him to pick you up when you land, or if that boy you're seeing will get you." Maya's grip tightened on the steering wheel. That boy. Her mother had been asking about her dating life for the past 6 months with increasing frequency. The truth was, Maya had been too busy with work to even think about dating. But telling her traditional Indian mother that she was 28, single, and perfectly happy about it never went well. "I'll figure it out, Mom, I have to go. I'm almost at the airport," she lied smoothly. "Okay, Beta. Fly safe and bring that young man to meet us soon, okay?" Maya ended the call and sighed. She loved her parents deeply, but sometimes their expectations felt like a heavy backpack she couldn't put down. They wanted her married, settled, and probably producing grandchildren before her 30th birthday. Meanwhile, she was trying to build a career in marketing and prove herself at a company where she felt like she was always one step behind. She pulled into her office parking lot, ran inside, grabbed the ring box, and checked the time. If she drove like she was in an action movie, she might just make her flight. Maybe. 35 minutes later, Maya burst through the airport doors like her life depended on it. She had parked in what was probably not a legal spot and sprinted to the check-in counter. The agent looked at her with the kind of pity usually reserved for people who show up to a wedding in the wrong outfit. "You've got about 15 minutes before they close the gate," the agent said, handing her a boarding pass. "Security line is pretty long today. You might want to run. Run, of course." Maya kicked off her heels, held them in one hand, grabbed her small suitcase with the other, and ran. She must have looked ridiculous, but she didn't care. She made it through security with 8 minutes to spare and jogged toward her gate, breathing hard. When she finally reached the departure area, she collapsed into a seat near the gate and tried to catch her breath. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Priya. "Mom just called and asked if you're bringing your boyfriend to the party." "What boyfriend? Are you hiding someone from me?" Maya stared at the text and felt a wave of frustration wash over her. This was the problem with small white lies. They grew legs and ran away from you. She had mentioned to her mother once that she was seeing someone, just to get her to stop setting her up on awkward dates with the sons of family friends. That was 3 months ago. Now her mother had apparently told the entire family, and everyone expected to meet this fictional boyfriend. She typed back to Priya. "Long story. He couldn't make it. Work emergency." Another lie to cover a lie. Maya rubbed her temples. She was usually honest to a fault, but something about family pressure made her slip into these small deceptions. She just wanted one weekend where her relatives didn't look at her with concern, like being single at 28 was some kind of medical condition. Her phone rang again. This time it was her mother's number on a video call. Maya's heart sank. Video calls meant her mother wanted to see her face, which meant she was about to ask questions that required believable answers. "Hi, Mom," Maya said. accepting the call and trying to angle the phone so the busy airport wasn't too obvious in the background. Beta, your Aunt Mira is here and she wants to say hello. Also, she's very excited to meet your young man this weekend. Maya's aunt's face appeared on the screen, smiling widely. Maya, your mother tells me you're bringing someone special to the party. I can't wait to meet him. What does he do? This was spiraling out of control. Maya looked around the departure lounge in panic, her mind racing for a solution. Her eyes landed on a man sitting a few seats away. He was probably in his early 30s, wearing a nice button-down shirt and jeans, typing on his laptop. He looked professional, kind, and most importantly, he was right there. Maya made another split-second decision that was possibly even worse than her earlier traffic maneuvers. She stood up, walked over to the man, and mouthed the words, "Please, just go along with it." The man looked up from his laptop, confused. Maya pointed to her phone and then made a pleading gesture with her hands. To her absolute surprise, the man glanced at her screen, saw her mother and aunt staring expectantly, and something clicked in his expression. He smiled slightly and nodded. Maya sat down next to him and turned the phone so they were both in frame. "Mom, Aunt Mira, this is Dev," she said, using the first name that came to her mind. "Say hi, honey." The man, to his credit, didn't miss a beat. "Hello, Mrs. Patel, nice to meet you," he said warmly. "Maya's told me so much about the family." Her mother's face lit up like someone had just told her she won the lottery. "Oh, he's handsome." "And so polite. What do you do, Dev?" "I work in marketing as well," he said smoothly. "That's actually how we met. Through work." Maya wanted to kiss this complete stranger for being such a good improviser. Her aunt was practically glowing through the screen. They chatted for another minute, with Dev answering questions with just enough detail to be believable but vague enough not to trap them in lies. "We have to board soon, Mom," Maya finally said. "I'll call you when I land." "Okay, Beta. So nice to meet you, Dev. We'll see you this weekend." Maya ended the call and let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She turned to the man sitting next to her, who was now looking at her with an expression somewhere between amused and bewildered. "I am so sorry," Maya said quickly. "That was completely inappropriate and weird, and you probably think I'm insane." The man closed his laptop and laughed. It was a genuine, warm laugh that made some of Maya's embarrassment fade. "That was definitely a first," he said. "I've been asked for a lot of strange favors in airports, but pretending to be someone's boyfriend on a video call is new." I know. It's just, my family is very traditional, and they've been pressuring me about being single. And I told a small lie that became a big lie. And now I'm in this situation where I have a fake boyfriend, and I just panicked when my mom called." She was talking too fast, words tumbling over each other. The man held up a hand, still smiling. "It's okay. I get it. Family pressure is real," he said. "I'm Devin, by the way. Since we're apparently dating now, you should probably know my full name." Maya laughed despite herself. "Maya, which you already know because you just met my entire family." They shook hands and Maya noticed he had kind eyes. The kind of eyes that suggested he was genuinely a good person, and not just someone who helped strangers out of pity. "So what's the real story?" Devin asked. "Why the emergency trip to Chicago with your grandmother's ring?" Maya blinked. "How did you know about the ring?" "You're gripping that little velvet box like it contains state secrets," he said, nodding at her hand. Maya looked down and realized she had been clutching the ring box the entire time. She laughed and relaxed her grip. "My sister's engagement party. I'm supposed to give her our grandmother's ring. Almost forgot it at work and had to drive back, which is why I was running through the airport like my hair was on fire." "Well, you made it. That's what counts." They talked for a few more minutes while waiting to board. Maya learned that Devin was heading to Denver for the weekend, that he had 2 younger brothers who also gave him grief about being single, and that he found the whole fake boyfriend situation hilarious rather than creepy. He was easy to talk to, the kind of person who made you feel like you'd known them longer than you actually had. When they announced boarding for Maya's flight, she stood up and gathered her things. "Thank you again for going along with that. You literally saved me from a very awkward conversation." "Anytime," Devin said with a grin. "Good luck with the engagement party. And maybe consider telling your family the truth about the boyfriend situation." "Yeah, I probably should," Maya admitted. "Have a good trip to Denver." They said goodbye and Maya boarded her plane feeling lighter than she had all day. Yes, she had just involved a complete stranger in her family drama. Yes, she would eventually have to tell her mother that Dev wasn't real. But for now, she had made it to her flight. She had the ring, and she had a funny story about the kindness of strangers. She settled into her seat and smiled to herself. She would never see Devin again, but she would definitely remember the day she asked a stranger to be her fake boyfriend and he actually said yes. Some people were just genuinely good humans, and she had gotten lucky enough to sit next to one. The plane took off, and Maya watched the city get smaller below her. She had no idea that in 72 hours, she would walk into work and find that same kind stranger standing at the front of a conference room, introducing himself as the new vice president of marketing. She had no idea that her life was about to get a lot more complicated. But for now, on this Friday evening flight, she was just relieved that everything had somehow worked out. Sometimes the universe had a strange sense of humor. Maya would understand that very soon. Maya's weekend in Chicago had been exactly what she needed. The engagement party was beautiful. Her sister cried happy tears when Maya gave her the ring, and for 2 whole days she managed to avoid any awkward questions about her fake boyfriend. Her aunt had asked once, and Maya mumbled something about him having a work emergency. Another small lie to add to the pile. Now it was Monday morning, and she was back in Austin, sitting in her car in the office parking lot, finishing the last of her coffee. The weekend felt like a dream already. Back to reality. Back to presentations, client meetings, and the never-ending battle to prove herself in a department where she often felt invisible. Maya worked for TechVibe, a mid-sized software company that made project management tools for creative teams. She had been there for 3 years, starting as a marketing assistant and working her way up to marketing coordinator. It was a good job, and she genuinely liked what she did. But lately she felt stuck, like she was running in place while everyone around her moved forward. She grabbed her bag and headed into the building. The moment she stepped through the glass doors, she noticed something different. There was energy in the air, the kind of buzz that happens when something big is about to change. People were clustered in small groups, talking in excited voices. Maya walked to her desk and found her work friend Jasmine, already there with 2 cups of coffee. Jasmine was the kind of person who knew everything that happened in the office before it actually happened. She had sources everywhere, like a friendly spy network. "You're going to need this," Jasmine said, handing Maya one of the coffees. "Big day today. What's going on?" Maya asked, setting down her bag. "Why does everyone look like something major is happening?" "Because something major is happening," Jasmine said, her eyes wide with excitement. "The new VP of marketing starts today. Remember how they've been searching for months after Jennifer left? Well, they finally found someone, and apparently he's kind of a big deal." Maya took a sip of her coffee. "Big deal how?" "Big deal like he used to work for some major tech companies in Silicon Valley. Big deal like he's only 32 and already has more experience than people twice his age. Big deal like everyone's nervous and trying to make good impressions." Maya felt a small flutter of anxiety in her stomach. New leadership always meant changes, and changes always made her nervous. What if the new VP decided to restructure the department? What if her position was suddenly redundant? What if he brought in his own people and pushed everyone else aside? "When do we meet him?" Maya asked. "Company-wide meeting at 10, Jasmine said, glancing at her watch. "That's in 45 minutes. Everyone in marketing is supposed to be there. He's going to give a presentation about his vision for the department." The next 45 minutes crawled by like molasses. Maya tried to focus on answering emails, but her mind kept wandering. She updated her resume, just in case. She straightened her desk. She went to the bathroom twice, even though she didn't need to. Nervous energy had completely taken over. At 9:55, she and Jasmine walked to the large conference room on the 3rd floor. It was already packed with people from every department. Maya spotted her manager, Robert, sitting in the front row looking unusually alert. Robert was usually half asleep during meetings, so this was definitely significant. Maya and Jasmine found seats in the middle of the room. The overhead lights dimmed slightly, and the projector screen at the front flickered to life with the TechVibe logo. The room quieted down as their CEO, Patricia Chen, walked to the front. "Good morning, everyone," Patricia said with a warm smile. "I know you're all eager to meet our new Vice President of Marketing, so I won't keep you waiting. He comes to us with an impressive background in tech marketing, brand strategy, and team leadership. Please join me in welcoming Devin Kapoor." Maya's heart stopped. Actually stopped. She was pretty sure her heart forgot how to beat for a solid 3 seconds. Walking to the front of the room, shaking hands with Patricia, and smiling at the crowd was the same man from the airport. The same man who had pretended to be her boyfriend on a video call with her mother. The same man she thought she would never see again. Their eyes met across the room. For a brief moment, his professional smile faltered, and she saw recognition flash across his face. Then just as quickly he recovered and turned his attention to the crowd. Maya felt her face go hot. This couldn't be happening. This was the kind of thing that happened in bad romantic comedies, not in real life, not in her life. "Thank you, Patricia," Devin said, his voice steady and confident. "And thank you all for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here at Tech Vibe and to work with such a talented team." He clicked to the first slide of his presentation. Maya tried to focus on what he was saying, but her brain was moving too fast. She was replaying every moment from the airport. The fake boyfriend act, the way she had practically begged him to go along with her lie. The casual conversation they had while waiting to board. Had she said anything embarrassing? Had she complained about work? About her boss? About this company? "My vision for the marketing department is simple," Devin continued, clicking through slides that showed impressive graphs and statistics. "We need to be strategic, creative, and above all, authentic in how we connect with our audience. I believe in empowering team members to take ownership of their projects and bring fresh ideas to the table." He sounded good, professional, like someone who actually knew what he was doing. Maya snuck a glance at Jasmine, who was watching the presentation with rapt attention. "He's impressive," Jasmine whispered, "and not bad-looking either." Maya made a small noise that might have been agreement but was mostly just internal screaming. The presentation lasted about 20 minutes. Devin talked about his previous work, his approach to brand building, and his plans for Tech Vibe's marketing strategy. He was articulate, funny in the right moments, and clearly knowledgeable. By the end, even Maya had to admit he seemed like he would be a good leader, if she could get past the crippling embarrassment of their first meeting. "Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be meeting with each member of the marketing team individually," Devin said, wrapping up his presentation. "I want to hear your ideas, understand what you're working on, and learn how I can support your growth." "My door is always open." Patricia thanked him again, and the meeting ended. People filed out of the conference room, chattering excitedly. Maya sat frozen in her seat. "Earth to Maya," Jasmine said, waving a hand in front of her face. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," Maya said, but her voice came out weird and strangled. "You sure? You've been acting strange since Devin started talking." Maya grabbed Jasmine's arm. "I need to tell you something, but you have to promise not to freak out." They walked back to their desks, and Maya pulled Jasmine into an empty meeting room. She closed the door and took a deep breath. "I've met him before," Maya said. Jasmine's eyebrows shot up. "What? When?" "Where?" "Friday. At the airport. Before my flight to Chicago. And you didn't mention this all weekend because I didn't know he worked here. I didn't even know his last name. He was just a random guy at the airport who did me a huge favor, and I thought I'd never see him again." Jasmine leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What kind of favor?" Maya covered her face with her hands. "A really embarrassing favor. My mom called on video chat, and she wanted to see my fake boyfriend that I may have invented to get her off my back about being single. And I panicked and asked this stranger to pretend to be him, and he actually did it. And now that stranger is my boss." There was a moment of silence. Then Jasmine burst out laughing. Not a polite chuckle, but a full-on, doubled-over, tears streaming down her face laugh. "This is not funny," Maya said, even though a small part of her could see the humor in it. "This is hilarious," Jasmine gasped between laughs. "This is the most hilarious thing I've heard all year. You asked your future boss to be your fake boyfriend." "I didn't know he was my future boss at the time." Jasmine wiped her eyes and tried to compose herself. Okay. So what are you going to do?" "I don't know. Deal of embarrassment? Quit my job? Move to another country?" "Those all seem a bit extreme," Jasmine said. "Look, he seemed professional during the meeting, right? He didn't call you out or make it weird. Maybe he'll just pretend it never happened. Or maybe he thinks I'm a total weirdo who goes around asking strangers to lie to her family." "To be fair, you are a total weirdo who does that," Jasmine said with a grin. "But you're our weirdo. And honestly, if he's as good a guy as he seemed at the airport, he probably thinks it's funny more than anything else." Maya wanted to believe that. She really did. But the thought of facing him in a one-on-one meeting made her want to crawl under her desk and stay there. That afternoon, an email appeared in Maya's inbox. It was from Devon's assistant, scheduling individual meetings with the marketing team. Maya scrolled down to find her name. Wednesday at 2 in the afternoon. 2 days away, 48 hours to prepare herself for what would possibly be the most awkward conversation of her life. She spent the rest of Monday trying to work, but mostly just staring at her computer screen and spiraling into worst-case scenarios. What if he thought she was unprofessional? What if he told other people about the airport incident? What if this affected her career? Tuesday was even worse. Maya kept catching glimpses of Devon in the office, always surrounded by people, always looking confident and in control. A few times she thought he might have glanced her way, but she couldn't be sure. She spent her lunch break in her car, practicing what she might say to him. "Hi, Devon. About the airport thing. I just want to apologize for putting you in that position." "No, that sounded too formal." "Hey, so that airport thing was crazy, right? Let's just forget it happened. Too casual. Listen, I'm really sorry for being weird at the airport. I promise I'm actually good at my job." That made her sound desperate. By Tuesday evening, Maya had convinced herself that Wednesday's meeting would be a disaster. She went home, stress-ate an entire container of ice cream, and called her sister. "I did something really stupid," Maya said when Priya answered. "What else is new?" Priya said cheerfully.
"What happened?"
Maya told her the whole story. The airport. The fake boyfriend. The shocking reveal at work. By the end, Priya was laughing just as hard as Jasmine had. "Why is everyone laughing at my pain?" Maya groaned. "Because it's funny," Priya said. "Maya, this is actually kind of amazing."
"What are the odds?"
"The odds are apparently very good because it happened to me." "Look," Priya said, her voice becoming more serious. "You said he was nice at the airport, right? He helped you out when he didn't have to. That says something about his character. Just be honest with him. Address it head on. Tell him you appreciate what he did, acknowledge it was weird, and then move on and show him you're good at your job." "When did you become so wise?" Maya asked. "I'm getting married. I'm practically ancient now," Priya joked. "Seriously, though. It'll be fine. And if it's not fine, at least you'll have a great story to tell at parties." Maya hung up feeling slightly better. Priya was right. She needed to address it directly, clear the air, and then focus on being professional. She could do this. She had survived worse things. Probably Wednesday morning arrived too quickly. Maya dressed carefully in her most professional outfit, a navy blazer and gray pants that made her feel like she had her life together, even though she absolutely did not. She arrived at work early, reviewed her portfolio and recent projects, and tried to calm her racing heart. At 1:45, she gathered her materials and headed to Devon's office. His door was closed. She could hear voices inside. He was still in a meeting with someone else. Maya sat in the chair outside his office and waited, her leg bouncing nervously. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door opened, and one of her colleagues from the creative team walked out. He looked happy, relaxed even. That was a good sign. Maybe. Maya Patel. Devon appeared in the doorway, smiling professionally. "Come on in." Maya stood up, smoothed down her blazer, and walked into the office that would either be the site of her greatest professional embarrassment or the beginning of something she couldn't yet imagine. She had no idea which one it would be, but she was about to find out. Maya stepped into Devon's office and immediately noticed how different it looked from when Jennifer, the previous VP, had it. Jennifer's office had been covered in motivational posters and family photos. Devon's was cleaner, more minimal, a few books on a shelf, a plant by the window, and a framed photo of what looked like him with 2 other men who were probably his brothers. "Please, have a seat," Devon said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. His tone was friendly but professional, the kind of voice you'd use with any colleague on your first official meeting. Maya sat down and placed her portfolio on her lap, gripping it like a shield. Her heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it across the desk. "So Maya," Devon began, opening his laptop, "I've been reviewing everyone's files and recent projects. I have to say your work on the spring campaign for the Pro Team software launch was really impressive. The engagement numbers were well above target." "Thank you," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "That was a good team effort. We worked closely with the creative department to make sure the messaging resonated with our target audience." "And you were the lead coordinator on that project?" "Yes, I was. They talked about work for the next 15 minutes. Devon asked thoughtful questions about her current projects, her approach to campaign strategy, and what she felt were the biggest challenges facing the marketing department. Maya found herself relaxing slightly. He was genuinely interested in what she had to say, nodding along and taking notes on his laptop. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. Maybe they could just ignore the airport incident completely and maintain a purely professional relationship. Maybe the universe was giving her a break for once. Your ideas about expanding our presence on emerging platforms are interesting, Devon said, leaning back in his chair. I'd like to explore that further in our next team meeting. Absolutely, Maya said, feeling a small surge of confidence. I've been researching how our competitors are using those platforms, and I think we're missing some real opportunities. There was a brief pause. Devon looked at her and something shifted in his expression. The professional mask slipped just slightly, and she saw a hint of amusement in his eyes. Okay, he said, closing his laptop. Should we address the elephant in the room? Or should I say the airport lounge? Maya felt her face flush hot. I was hoping we could just pretend that never happened. Devon laughed, a genuine warm laugh that reminded her of why she had trusted him in the first place. We could do that, but honestly, I think it might be better if we just acknowledge it and move past it. Otherwise, it's going to be this weird thing hanging between us. Maya took a deep breath. Okay, so about that. I want to apologize for putting you in that position. It was completely inappropriate, and I shouldn't have involved a stranger in my family drama. I was panicking, and I made a really impulsive decision, and I'm sorry. Maya, it's fine, Devon said, his voice kind. Honestly, it was one of the more entertaining airport experiences I've had. Usually, I just sit there answering emails and eating overpriced sandwiches. You're not mad? Mad? No, confused at first. Definitely. But once I understood what was happening, I actually felt bad for you. Family pressure about relationships is real, especially in traditional cultures. Trust me, I get it from my family too. Maya felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. So this isn't going to be weird? Only if we make it weird, Devon said with a slight smile. Look, we're both adults. We're both professionals. What happened at the airport was a random, slightly bizarre moment that actually showed me something interesting about you. That I'm a person who makes terrible decisions under pressure, that you're creative, quick thinking, and not afraid to take risks when you need to solve a problem. Devon corrected. Those are actually good qualities in marketing. Maybe not the best qualities for managing family relationships, but good for marketing. Maya couldn't help but smile. That's a generous interpretation. It's an honest one, Devon said. Besides, I could have said no at the airport. I chose to help you. That's on me, too. There was another pause, but this one felt different. Less awkward, more like two people who understood each other. Maya realized that her initial impression of Devon at the airport was accurate. He really was a genuinely good person. For what it's worth, Devon continued, I was actually nervous about taking this job. I almost turned it down because I wasn't sure if I was ready for the VP level. But then I had this random encounter at the airport that reminded me that life doesn't have to be so serious all the time. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow and see what happens. You're saying I accidentally convinced you to take this job? In a weird way, yes, Devon said. So really, the company should be thanking you. They both laughed, and Maya felt the last bit of anxiety drain away. This was going to be okay. Better than okay, actually, so we're good? Maya asked. We're good, Devon confirmed. Now let's talk about your career goals. Where do you see yourself in the next year or two? The conversation shifted back to work, but it felt different now. More relaxed, more genuine. Maya found herself opening up about her frustrations with feeling stuck in her current role, about wanting more responsibility and bigger projects to lead, about her fear that she wasn't being taken seriously. Devon listened without interrupting, his full attention on what she was saying. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment, thinking. Here's what I see, he said finally. You have strong strategic thinking, you're organized, and your past projects show you can execute well under pressure. What you're lacking is visibility. You're doing good work, but you're not putting yourself forward enough. I've always felt like I needed to wait my turn, Maya admitted. Like if I pushed too hard, people would think I was aggressive or overconfident. That's a common trap, especially for women in the workplace, Devon said. But here's the thing. Waiting your turn often means waiting forever. The people who advance are the ones who raise their hands and say, I can do this. Maya nodded, taking in his words. I have a project coming up that I think you'd be perfect for, Devin continued. We're launching a major product update in about 6 weeks. It's going to be our biggest campaign of the year. I need someone to lead the marketing strategy, and I think you have the skills to do it. Maya's eyes widened. Really? But there are people on the team with more experience than me. Experience isn't everything, Devin said. I've seen your work. I've heard you talk about strategy just now. You think differently than a lot of people on the team, and that's valuable. Plus, this is exactly the kind of project that will give you the visibility and leadership experience you need. I don't know what to say, Maya said, feeling a mix of excitement and terror. That's a huge opportunity. It is. And it's also going to be a lot of work. Long hours, tight deadlines, high pressure. But if you pull it off, it'll position you for a promotion to senior level. Maya felt her heart racing again, but this time it was from excitement rather than anxiety. I want to do it. Good, Devin said with a nod. I should warn you, though. I'm going to push you. I'm going to challenge your ideas and make you defend your decisions. Not because I don't trust you, but because that's how you grow. Can you handle that? Yes, Maya said, and she meant it. I can handle it. Excellent. We'll kick off the project planning next week. I'll send you the full brief tomorrow so you can start thinking about it. They talked for a few more minutes about logistics and next steps. When Maya finally stood to leave, she felt like a different person than the one who had walked in 30 minutes ago. She felt seen, valued, and excited about work in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. Maya, Devin said as she reached the door. One more thing, she turned back. I meant what I said. This opportunity has nothing to do with the airport. It's based purely on your merit and your work. I need you to know that. I know, Maya said, and she did. She could see it in his eyes. He was fair, and he was giving her a chance because he believed she could do it. And maybe consider telling your family the truth about the boyfriend situation, Devin added with a slight smile. Trust me, lies have a way of getting complicated. Maya laughed. You sound like my sister. But yeah, you're probably right. I'll work on that. She walked back to her desk feeling like she was floating. Jasmine looked up from her computer the moment Maya sat down. Well, Jasmine demanded. How did it go? Did you die of embarrassment? It was actually fine, Maya said, unable to keep the smile off her face. Better than fine. He offered me the lead on a major project. Jasmine's jaw dropped. Seriously? That's amazing. What project? The big product update campaign. He said he thinks I'm ready for it. Maya, that's huge. That's the kind of project that gets people promoted. I know, Maya said, feeling giddy. I can't believe it's happening. Did you talk about the airport thing? Yeah, we cleared the air. He was really cool about it. Said it showed I was creative and quick thinking. Jasmine laughed. Only you could turn begging a stranger to be your fake boyfriend into a career opportunity. It's not like that, Maya protested, but she was laughing too. The project is because of my work, not because of the airport. I know. I'm just happy for you, Jasmine said. You deserve this. The rest of the week flew by. Devin sent Maya the project brief on Thursday, and she spent the entire weekend reading through it, taking notes and brainstorming ideas. The product update was for their flagship software, and the launch campaign needed to reach both existing customers and new markets. It was complex, ambitious, and exactly the kind of challenge she had been craving. Monday morning, there was a team meeting to officially announce the project. Devin introduced Maya as the lead coordinator, and she felt all eyes on her. Some of her colleagues looked surprised. A couple looked skeptical, but most seemed supportive. After the meeting, one of the senior marketing managers, Vincent, pulled her aside in the hallway. Congratulations on the lead role, he said, but his tone was neutral, hard to read. Thanks. Vincent, Maya said carefully. I just hope Devin made this decision based on capability and not on any other factors, Vincent said, looking at her meaningfully. Maya felt a chill run through her. What do you mean? Just that he seems to have taken an interest in your development pretty quickly. Some people might wonder why. The implication was clear, and it made Maya's stomach turn. My work speaks for itself, she said firmly. Devin chose me because of my track record and my ideas for this campaign. If you say so, Vincent said with a shrug. Good luck with the project. He walked away, leaving Maya standing in the hallway feeling like someone had dumped cold water on her excitement. She knew what Vincent was suggesting. that she got the project because of some kind of favoritism, maybe because of their prior connection. Maya went back to her desk and tried to focus, but Vincent's words kept echoing in her head. She had worked so hard to prove herself in this company. The thought that people might think she got this opportunity for any reason other than merit made her feel sick. By lunchtime, she was sitting in her car again, this time not eating, just thinking. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. "How's work going? Are you less stressed now?" Maya typed back, "It's complicated." And it was. She had gotten exactly what she wanted, a big project and a chance to prove herself. But now she had to wonder if people would respect her work or just assume she got special treatment. She had to wonder if accepting this opportunity was the right decision. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from Devin with the subject line, "Project team meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. Maya stared at the email and made a decision. She wasn't going to let Vincent's comments or anyone else's assumptions derail this opportunity. She was going to work harder than she ever had before. She was going to create a campaign so good that nobody could question why she was chosen. She was going to prove that she earned this. She started her car and drove back to the office. She had work to do, and she wasn't going to waste any more time doubting herself. The airport incident had led her here, to this moment, to this opportunity. Now it was up to her to make the most of it. The first week of the project felt like drinking from a fire hose. Maya spent every waking hour immersed in research, strategy documents, and competitor analysis. She created detailed timelines, budget projections, and creative briefs. She wanted everything to be perfect, to be beyond criticism. Her team consisted of 5 people. There was Jasmine, thank goodness, who handled social media strategy. Then there was Kevin from the creative department, who was brilliant with design but always showed up late to meetings. Lisa managed the email marketing campaigns and had 15 years of experience, which made Maya nervous about leading someone so senior. Raj handled analytics and data, and he was quiet but incredibly sharp. And finally there was Vincent, the senior manager who had made that comment in the hallway. Devin had insisted Vincent be on the team, saying his experience with product launches would be valuable. Maya suspected Devin wanted Vincent to see firsthand that she deserved the leadership role. But having him there felt like working with a constant critic looking over her shoulder. Their first team meeting was on Tuesday morning. Maya had prepared a presentation outlining her vision for the campaign. She barely slept the night before, rehearsing what she would say, anticipating every possible question. She walked into the conference room 10 minutes early and set up her laptop. Her hands were shaking slightly as she organized her notes. The team filed in one by one. Jasmine gave her an encouraging smile. Kevin yawned and grabbed a coffee. Lisa looked mildly interested. Raj opened his laptop immediately. Vincent was the last to arrive, taking a seat in the back with his arms crossed. "Good morning, everyone," Maya began, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. "Thank you for being here. I know we're all busy, but this project is going to be the biggest thing our department does this year, and I'm excited to work with all of you." She clicked to her first slide. "Our goal is simple but challenging. We need to reintroduce our flagship product to the market, with updates that solve real problems for our users. But we're not just selling features. We're selling transformation." For the next 30 minutes, Maya walked through her strategy. She had broken the campaign into 3 phases: awareness, education, and conversion. Each phase had specific tactics, timelines, and measurable goals. She showed mock-ups, data projections, and examples from successful campaigns in other industries. When she finished, there was silence. Maya's heart sank. Was it that bad? Then Raj spoke up. "This is really solid work, Maya. The data approach makes sense, and I like how you've built in testing at each phase." "I agree," Lisa said, nodding. "The email sequence you've outlined addresses every stage of the customer journey." "That's smart." Maya felt a wave of relief. "Thank you. I want this to be collaborative, though. These are initial ideas, and I'm counting on all of you to make them better." "What's the budget looking like?" Vincent asked from the back of the room. Maya pulled up her budget slide. "I've allocated resources based on what performed best in our previous campaigns, but with more emphasis on digital channels where we can track ROI more accurately." "That's a pretty aggressive spend on influencer partnerships," Vincent observed. "Are we sure that's the right move?" "Influencer marketing can be hit or miss." "It can be," Maya acknowledged. But our target demographic is increasingly making purchasing decisions based on peer recommendations and trusted voices in their industry. I've identified 12 micro-influencers who have engaged audiences that match our customer profile exactly. The cost is actually lower than traditional advertising, and the engagement rates are 3 times higher. Vincent didn't look convinced, but he didn't argue further. The meeting continued with the team discussing logistics, deadlines, and responsibilities. By the end, Maya felt cautiously optimistic. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Over the next 2 weeks, the team fell into a rhythm. They met 3 times a week to review progress and adjust strategy. Kevin designed mock-ups that were even better than Maya had imagined. Lisa crafted email sequences that were both informative and compelling. Raj set up tracking systems to measure every metric they cared about. Even Vincent contributed valuable insights about product positioning, though he still had a tendency to question every decision Maya made. Jasmine became Maya's sounding board for everything. They would stay late together, ordering takeout and working through problems. One evening, as they sat surrounded by half-eaten Thai food and marketing materials, Jasmine looked at Maya with concern. "You look exhausted," Jasmine said. "When's the last time you slept a full 8 hours?" "I don't know," Maya admitted. "Last week sometime?" "You need to pace yourself. This project is a marathon, not a sprint." "I know, but I have to get this right," Maya said, rubbing her eyes. "You didn't hear what Vincent said to me. People are watching, waiting to see if I fail. Who cares what Vincent thinks? Devin chose you for a reason." "That's exactly the problem," Maya said quietly. "Some people think Devin chose me for the wrong reasons." Jasmine frowned. "Because of the airport thing? That's ridiculous. Nobody knows about that except you and me. They don't need to know the details. They just see a new VP who immediately gives a major project to someone without the most seniority. They're going to wonder why." "So prove them wrong," Jasmine said simply, "which you're already doing, by the way." "This campaign is good, Maya. Really good." Maya wanted to believe her, but doubt had a way of creeping in during the quiet moments. 3 weeks into the project, disaster struck. Maya was in a meeting with the product team when her phone started buzzing urgently. She glanced down and saw multiple texts from Raj. "Call me ASAP. Problem with the client." Maya excused herself and called Raj immediately. "What's wrong?" "The client just moved up the launch date," Raj said, his voice tense. "Instead of 6 weeks from now, they want to launch in 3 weeks. Maya felt her stomach drop. "That's impossible. We have timelines, production schedules, everything planned for 6 weeks. "I know, but apparently there's competitive pressure. Another company is launching something similar and the client wants to beat them to market." Maya closed her eyes and tried to think. 3 weeks. That meant cutting their timeline in half. It meant some of their carefully planned strategies wouldn't have time to develop. It meant working even longer hours, pushing her team even harder. "Okay," Maya said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Call an emergency team meeting for this afternoon. 4 o'clock. And let Devin know what's happening." She spent the next few hours in panic mode, trying to figure out how to salvage the campaign. By the time 4 o'clock rolled around, she had a revised plan. It wasn't ideal, but it was workable. The team gathered in the conference room looking worried. Maya took a deep breath and addressed them honestly. "I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The timeline change is a huge problem. But I think we can make it work if we're willing to be flexible and work smarter." She pulled up a new timeline on the screen. "We're going to have to cut some elements and prioritize others. The 3-phase approach stays, but we're compressing each phase. That means we can't test as thoroughly as I wanted. And we'll have to make some decisions based on our best judgment rather than data." "That's risky," Lisa said. Concern evident in her voice. "It is," Maya agreed. "But the alternative is launching with a half-finished campaign or missing the launch date entirely. Neither of those options is acceptable." "What about the influencer partnerships?" Vincent asked. "Those take time to develop. There's no way we can execute that in 3 weeks." Maya had anticipated this question. "We're going to pivot. Instead of 12 micro-influencers, we're focusing on 3 macro-influencers who already have relationships with our brand. It's more expensive per person, but faster to execute and potentially higher reach." "That's going to blow through the budget," Vincent pointed out. "Not if we cut the traditional advertising spend I had allocated for Phase 2, Maya countered. "We're betting everything on digital and influencer marketing. It's aggressive, but I think it's our best shot. Vincent looked skeptical, but he didn't argue. The team spent the next hour reorganizing tasks, adjusting deadlines, and dividing up the work. It was intense, and Maya could see the stress on everyone's faces. But nobody quit. Nobody said it couldn't be done. As the meeting ended and people filed out, Devon appeared in the doorway. "Maya, can I see you for a minute?" Her heart sank. Here it comes, she thought. He's going to tell me I'm not handling this well, that he made a mistake giving me this project. They walked to his office in silence. Once inside, Devon closed the door and turned to face her. "I heard about the timeline change," he said. "I know it's a mess," Maya said quickly, "but I have a plan. We're going to make it work." "Maya, breathe," Devon said gently. "I'm not here to criticize you. I wanted to check in and see how you're doing." The question caught her off guard. "How I'm doing?" "Yes, this is a lot of pressure, especially with the timeline change. I want to make sure you're okay." Maya felt unexpected emotion rise in her throat. Nobody had asked her that. Everyone was focused on the project, on the deadlines, on the work. But nobody had asked how she was handling it. "I'm stressed," she admitted, "and scared. Scared that I'm going to mess this up and prove everyone right who thought I shouldn't have gotten this project." "Who's everyone?" Devon asked. Maya hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Vincent made a comment a few weeks ago about whether you gave me this project based on capability or other factors. I know there are others who think the same thing." Devon's expression darkened. "I should talk to Vincent." "No," Maya said quickly. "Please don't. That will just make it worse, like I can't fight my own battles. I need to prove myself through my work, not through you defending me." Devon was quiet for a moment. "You're right. But Maya, I want you to understand something. Office politics and gossip exist everywhere. There will always be people who question why someone else got an opportunity they wanted. That's not your burden to carry." "It feels like my burden," Maya said. "I know it does. But here's what I've learned in my career. You can't control what people think or say. You can only control the quality of your work and how you show up every day. And from what I've seen, you're showing up brilliantly. Even with this timeline disaster?" "Especially with this timeline disaster," Devon said. "I sat in on part of your team meeting. The way you handled that situation, staying calm, presenting solutions, rallying the team. That's leadership, Maya. Real leadership isn't about managing perfect situations. It's about navigating imperfect ones." Maya felt some of the weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you. I needed to hear that." "You're going to pull this off," Devon said with confidence. "And when you do, it won't matter what Vincent or anyone else thinks. Your work will speak for itself." Maya left his office feeling renewed. She had 3 weeks to make this campaign work. 3 weeks to prove to herself and everyone else that she belonged in this role. That evening, she stayed late at the office working on the revised strategy. Around 8 o'clock, she heard footsteps and looked up to see Vincent standing by her desk. "Working late?" he asked. "Just finishing up some things," Maya said cautiously. Vincent pulled up a chair and sat down. "Look, I owe you an apology. What I said a few weeks ago was out of line." Maya was too surprised to respond immediately. "I was frustrated about not getting the project lead myself," Vincent continued, "and I took it out.